on the website and on your smart speakers, and plenty to come in the second half of tonight's show as we deal with local, national and international sporting stories, including England's painful defeat against Spain. And Fraser will tell us what it was like to be at Lord's as Jimmy Anderson's international career officially came to an end last week. Locally, we'll run through the big cricketing stories from the weekend and look ahead to some big matches coming up over the next few days. We'll be joined by Fionn Ashman, who will make a welcome return to the show tonight, having helped Cresselli win the Clive Huxley Cup and score 65 runs on Saturday for Hundleton, and plenty more to come. You can get involved with the show this evening. So, with it now standing officially at 58 years of hurt and counting, I'll get on with the show. Evening, Gordon, Tom and Fraser. How are we, gents? All right?
Very good. I'm the only one in the studio who's actually been alive when England won something.
Yeah.
I just thought, Christ, what an old sod I am.
How old are you then, Gordon? In 66?
You should
never ask. Yeah, okay. That's a great start to the show. Fraser, how are you? All right?
Not too bad, but a very late shift last night, of course, with your lot trying to bring football home. But I was more relieved they didn't smash up Berlin afterwards, to be honest. I got to bed about 1, and I thought it might have been a bit later. But they behaved themselves by all accounts. I think the fans very good in Germany.
They did. I can also report I got to bed before 1 last night. It might have been different, of course, had the game gone the other way. But no, I was tucked up by about 11:30 last night, unfortunately. Tom, evening, how are you?
Very well, thank you. I spent most of my weekend watching Sevens rugby as opposed to football.
Good stuff.
Enjoyable nonetheless. Yeah,
great
down
in Whitland. Yeah, excellent stuff. Well, let's start with Euro 2024. We're going to look ahead to some of the local cricket. We're looking forward to talking to Fionn as well. And we've got to talk about a new Wales manager appointed, of course, since we were last with you on Pure West Sport. So, Fraser, you were following the game in a work capacity as well last night. What were your thoughts on that final and Spain looking like the best team throughout the tournament, really?
Best team won. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Best team to watch on the eye aesthetically through the tournament. And, you look back last night, you can argue it was on a knife edge with 4 minutes to go. It was only actually when I saw the highlights again, you realise the amount of chances Spain had to put the game to bed at 1-0. 2 great saves from Jordan Pickford, 2 others off target. Nico Williams going closer on the edge of the area. So, look, England obviously did change their direction momentarily. Great goal by Cole Palmer, but I thought overall it was a performance where they just came up short. And it's all well and good saying that Spain were the best team in the tournament and deserved it on the night. But, it's games like this which define careers and you expect big players to stand up. And there's been a lot of talk today about Southgate's tactics and England's pattern of play when it went to 1-1. But, as much as a debate about Southgate, and we will debate it now, and there's a plausible debate on both sides to be had there. You look at the likes of Declan Rice, Jude Bellingham, Harry Kane, Kyle Walker, Phil Foden again. You look at them, they didn't stand up to be counted when it mattered most in the final. You have to say that. A lot of England's so-called big players went disappearing last night. And if you don't stand up when it really matters, you don't win major international tournaments. That's as cutthroat as it is.
That's cheered me up.
Good
goal, though. Good goal.
Yeah.
We'll give him that.
I think it was. I think, Gordon, give us your thoughts. What did you make of the final?
Yeah, exactly. Fraser's touched on it all, really, and to be fair. On the night, you have to say that Spain were the better side, and there's no arguments about that at the end of the day. England tried their best, but you have to put your hands up when you're not good enough to beat a very good Spanish team. It's as simple as that. It doesn't matter how you dress it up. Spain are the champions. But I will say Gareth Southgate has done a brilliant job with England. He's, it's his second European final in, is it 4 years, 3 years, whatever it is?
Yeah, 3 years.
He's turned England around. He's brought a lot. I think it's going to be a transition stage after this tournament, whether he stays or not. But, at the end, Spain have got a very, very well-balanced team as well. The 2 wingers, they're technically very good. And that was the difference. They were a little bit sharper than England. And I think England looked a little bit tired.
Which disappoints me, because England's tactics throughout the group stages was to play really quite slow, boring football, thinking ahead that they would have that burst of energy at the end. And they didn't have it. So it makes you think, why did they play so slowly and defensively earlier on?
I think the first half was always going to be quite cagey, and I thought at half time it was fairly even Stevens, really, that first half. It was a typical final, wasn't it, between two sides who didn't want to maybe show themselves first. What I think did change the game was how Spain came out after half time, and that caught us all by surprise, really, because it was the one moment in the game up to that point where Spain managed to cut England open, and England didn't really do the same, did they? I think, Fraser, I take your point. Interesting what you say about the England players not showing, and some of them probably didn't last night. Do you feel this is a great Spain team, though? Are we on the verge of another really good Spain team? Because we remember the teams like 2008, 2012. They're some of the greatest international sides I've ever seen.
To answer your first bit, you said, do I think it's a great Spain team? No, not at this stage. But I think, is it on the verge of something big? Yes, I do. There's a lot of youngsters there. If you actually look at the Barcelona model now, and a lot of youngsters coming through. You see Yamal, only 16, such a big deal being made him already, rightly so. And they do look a team set in the mould of that 2008 to 2012 group you just mentioned. So, yeah, look, they've got exciting young players. They're back playing slick football again. They've come through a big rebuilding stage, and they have done. And yes, I do believe they are on the verge of certainly being one of the teams to beat the World Cup in 26 and definitely in Euro 28 in 4 years' time.
And picking up on Gordon's point about Southgate and the job he's done, and I think there are England fans with short memories, I think, because Southgate came in 2016 on the back of a defeat against Iceland in the second round in France, the year Wales made it to the semis and really led the way. For UK home nation sides, had a brilliant tournament. I think it's very easy just to forget that, and I actually think Southgate has reconnected the England team with the fans. I was really sad to see, pints of beer being chucked at the manager. I just think there's no place for that at all. If you're going to go and support the team. Criticise them if they need to, but that was poor. I personally hope Southgate stays until the next World Cup, because I do think the players will play for him, and I think there have been moments in this tournament where actually we have seen some tactical flexibility from Southgate. He's brought Cole Palmer on. Gord, you said to me he took Kane off on 59 minutes. That's a huge call. These calls are big calls for managers to make. You're subbing your captain and leading goal scorer after an hour. Now, you can argue how well he's played, but it's still a massive call. And I think the manager has got to make those, and he got it right, by and large, in what he did through most of the tournament with some of those calls. It got us to the final, maybe by luck at times, but we still got over the line to get that far. Obviously, as you say, Fraser, that the big players will answer those questions about why they failed again to get over that final hurdle. But it's not easy to win these tournaments either.
Look, I think it's fine to have two different narratives on this Southgate story, to be honest with you. It's absolutely right that it's acknowledged that he came to England, he sorted out a mess, he improved the culture, he improved the cohesion within the squad. He brought it closer to the public. He brought it closer to the media, actually, which is a pretty vitriolic relationship of years gone by between England squads and media. And these things might sound like generic, but the fact is they're generic things which England didn't have in probably the 2 decades before he took charge, and he was responsible for all that, and he improved that squad and absolutely deserves credit for that. And yes, he does have England performing at major international tournaments like they haven't done consistently ever before, even under Alf Ramsey. Like you say, back-to-back Euros finals. I think the only England manager taken to 2 finals, actually, and the World Cup quarter-final as well, the semi-final too. But, if you are going to be cutthroat, once he has got to the latter stages of those tournaments, which is what the England managers before him haven't done in the modern era, there have been games when England have been found wanting at crucial times. And you look back to what could have been games for them in against Croatia 2018, Italy especially 2021, the France game, the missed penalty with Kane last night. And look, I think it's a very, very difficult call what to make. Personally, I do think it's the end of the road for him now, not because of what you're angling at there, that I don't think results have been good enough or he should be punished for not winning a major tournament. I just sensed a manager for the first time in this tournament who was weighed down by all the pressure and the outside noise that comes with the England job. It had got a bit personal. It shouldn't have. I agree with you there, but it has. And it seemed to trigger him. And he was, for the first time, you noticed him spike with the media and admitting it was affecting him. And once you get into that job weighs very heavily on you. And to go through another 2 years of that at a World Cup, psychologically, and he's been in it a long time. He's been a very, very long time for an international manager. I think mentally, more so than performance, it might be the end of the road for him now.
Okay, we shall see. I think it will be a relatively
have
quick
to say,
decision.
we could have a
as
different
well.
narrative. You're right. It's all about
Yeah.
results. No point what about trees now. But this is an England team that survived in this tournament on moments. They were seconds away from going out before that special Jude Bellingham moment in the last 16, and the narrative now would have been very, very different as to whether he should stay on or not.
Of course it would. Of course, and also it would probably be very different had Mark Gahey's header not been kicked off the line. There are fine
absolutely.
lines at international level. You know,
Fine margins,
there are fine margins. It's a good analysis phrase. It is, and I think my view would be he's got a young squad there. I think there is one more tournament in Gareth Southgate if he wants there to be, and I just hope it is on his terms. If he does want that, I wouldn't have a problem. The current favourite, by the way, is the former Swansea City manager. Graham Potter is leading the way with the bookies at the moment, and that for me would be a real gamble, because I think, you know, one of the things you do have to ask whenever you change your manager, any sport, is there someone better to bring in, and are you going to bring someone in who will change and improve things? I look at the list. There's not many at this stage. I'm an Eddie Howe fan. I'm not convinced he'd take the job at this point. You might be looking at another foreign coach for England, and if there was, Tottenham fan, I'd probably put Pochettino's name in there, but there's no one really saying I'd be the right person to take over. So we shall see. Let's move on, but let's stick with international management for just a sec, because Wales have confirmed a new head coach. We speculated about this a couple of weeks ago on the show. Gordon, give me your reaction. Craig Bellamy, his first senior manager's job. How did you react to that news?
Well, I wasn't totally surprised. I mean, he's cut his teeth with... is it Bournemouth? He was
Burnley.
Burnley. I knew it was a B. He was with Burnley, and you know, he has the pedigree. He's played at international level. He's done his coach's badges, and the Welsh international job has always been a sort of stepping stone for managers to try and prove themselves. Mark Hughes, you know, Chris Coleman, people like that. And if he's going to be any good, he has to produce the goods under a difficult situation for Wales, because they're not the greatest side at this moment due to the likes of Bale and Ramsey, and you know, they're leaving. You've got to bring youngsters through, and it's going to take time. Will the Welsh fans be behind him? And you know, and he's quite a I will say he's hot-headed as well. We know that.
Yeah.
And,
I was gonna.
It'll be interesting to see how he deals with the players in the changing room and on the coaching pitch, because he'll have a different sort of attitude to what Chris Coleman or Mark Hughes would have had. So it's going to be an interesting story. It'll either end in tears very quickly, or we'll see us marching on.
He was a fiery player, phrase, wasn't he, for Wales, Bellamy? What will Bellamy, the head coach, be like, do you think?
We're about to find out. He's fiery. It often spilled over into petulance. Of course, he didn't help himself during his own career. Saw an interview today where he actually handled himself very well, spoke about how he'd grown up and matured, and we'll see that now. We'll see the proof will be in the pudding.
As you know, words are very easy.
Of course they are. Of course they are. When he takes the job, but he has cut his teeth coaching. Has had a couple of harsh lessons. He's out of the mould of Giggs and Mark Hughes back in the day of being Welsh, a former player, young, cut his teeth through coaching and with a point to prove. So we'll see how it develops.
Yeah, we will. And Nations League matches to come in September for both Wales and England, of course. International football rolls on quite quickly. Let's just change sports for a sec, and then we're going to chat to Fionn on Pure West Sport. But we've got some good cricket coming up actually this week in the Harrison Allen Bowl semi-finals. Saundersfoot v Llangwm and Lawrenny against Burton. That's an interesting couple of semi-finals coming up this week, chaps.
Yeah, and 4 clubs now eyeing a big opportunity. I know you say you focus one game at a time. There's no escaping it. The 4 of them will look at that draw and see no Neyland, no Carew, no Criselli.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, and will absolutely fancy their chances of a one-off win. You know, all teams have got match winners in that format.
They have.
You know, all teams are capable of going all the way. This is wide open. It's the first time we've said that at a semi-final stage for a long time.
It's great that, though, isn't it, as well, Gord, heading into the semis, and you know, we'll have 4 teams who really will be battling for a place in the final.
Yeah, and it's refreshing as well, because, you know, when one club dominates like Neyland have, or Carew are always in the mix as well, and both those teams are playing head-to-head in the Dougie Morris this coming Sunday, but they're out of it. There's different teams in there who are just as worthy to be there, and it's their opportunity to get to the biggest day of the cricket calendar, the Harrison Allen final. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The predictions are going to be interesting to see who actually goes through.
I was going to ask you, but yeah, can we get a prediction? Who's going to be in the Harrison Allen final this year then?
For me, the former Steve Mills leans me slightly towards Llangwm. But Lawrenny have got to feel it's their time now. They've lost, 3 finals in the last few years now. They've still got a tight group. They've lost 1 or 2. Right, the pressure will be on them now, but they are playing Burton Division 2 side. They will be favourites to go through in there. I'll go for a Lawrenny-Llangwm final, but with no conviction.
Okay. On Sunday, as Gordon said, we actually have got a cup final, haven't we? The Dougie Morris Cup final, and it's a big one, isn't it? It's Neyland against Carew, and Fraser, Neyland have won 8 of the last 10 finals. Will that pattern change at the weekend?
Psychologically, Carew are going to have to get over a big hurdle because the two met, of course, that 2021 Harrison Allen final, which nearly ended up as an innings defeat.
Yeah.
It was a brutal performance from Neyland that day. They're so well vested in this Dougie Morris. You heard with the interview Sean Hannon in the first hour, there's no sense of any kind of complacency or repetition that they've been there before. They'll be fully focused. And you have to say it. We say it every year when we get to finals. Gordon might offer a different view to me now, but Neyland over 2 innings, it's got to the stage. I'll never back against them until they lose.
You hit the nail on the head. Yes. It's if it was a 1 innings final, which it'll never be because the format isn't that. You would say there could be a chance for Carew. But once you say 2 innings, Fraser's right. Neyland are strong.
You don't see Neyland don't fail over 2 innings, do they? Really, in cup because such is their cup pedigree.
Dougie Morris final in 2012 was the last time they lost a Pembrokeshire final or a 2 innings final of any kind, and that was rain. That was rain affected. They didn't play the second innings. Have to rest a better first innings score.
What's the format on Sunday? How many overs per innings?
22 overs.
Nice.
20 in the Dougie.
20 in the Dougie, you're right. 22 in the Harry.
Twice as much as what Gordon would like it to be.
So T22.
I'll go a step further again. It's a 1 innings competition, and then we have a final where it's 2 innings. What format are we playing, boys? It should be one innings. That's it.
Fair comment. Yeah, fair comment. Okay, we'll, I'm sure, reflect on the Dougie Morris final on the show this time next week. On the way next, though, we'll just take a moment and then we'll be joined by Fionn Ashman, who we love having Fionn on the show. She had a good weekend, actually. A double success, 65 for Hundleton on Saturday, and then she played for Cresselly yesterday, and they beat Hook in the Clive Huxley Cup final. So we'll talk to Fionn about that. No doubt a bit of football in there as well. And before 9 o'clock, Fraser was at Lords for Jimmy Anderson's final test match. And we want to talk about Jimmy and also where he ranks in terms of all-time British sportsmen. I think Fraser's going to say he should be quite high up that list, having been at his final game. But find out before 9 o'clock and you can get involved as well. It's Monday evening, Pure West Sport.